What if I told you some of the advice you're following right now could actually be hurting your breast milk supply without you even realizing it? Today, we're exposing the nursing myths nobody warned you about, the ones that are quietly sabotaging your breastfeeding journey. If you're a nursing mom who feels confused, overwhelmed, or is secretly worried about your milk supply, I want you to hear this loud and clear: you are not failing. You are being misled. For too long, well-meaning but outdated advice has caused countless mothers to doubt their bodies and give up on their goals. Today, we're putting an end to that. I'm breaking down 7 of the most common breastfeeding myths, what science actually says, and what you can do to truly support a healthy, abundant milk supply for your baby. This isn't just another list, this is about reclaiming your confidence and trusting your body again. Let's dive right into the first myth, one I see repeated everywhere, from online forums to family gatherings: you must drink tons of water to make more milk. It sounds logical, right? Breast milk is mostly water, so more water in should mean more milk out. But this is a dangerous oversimplification. While staying hydrated is absolutely crucial for your overall health and energy levels, forcing yourself to chug gallons of water can backfire. Here's the science: when you overhydrate, you risk diluting the essential electrolytes in your bloodstream, like sodium and potassium. These electrolytes are vital for nerve function and muscle contraction, including the tiny muscles that control your let-down reflex. When your electrolyte balance is off, you can feel exhausted, weak, and foggy. Even worse, it can actually make it harder for your body to release the milk you've already made. Your body is incredibly smart, it's not just a passive container. So, what's the better approach? It's simple: drink to thirst. Your body has a finely tuned mechanism to tell you when it needs fluid. Pay attention to its signals. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're not, don't force it. A great way to check your hydration is the color of your urine. You're aiming for a pale, straw-like yellow. If it's dark, you need more water. If it's completely clear like water, you might be overdoing it. Also, focus on hydration from whole foods. Think about water-rich fruits like watermelon and cucumbers, or even soups and broths. These not only provide fluid but also replenish those vital electrolytes naturally, keeping your system in perfect balance to support milk production. Now for myth number 2, and this one cuts deep for so many moms: if you have low milk supply, it means your body is failing you. This myth is so damaging because it attacks a mother's deepest sense of capability. It creates a spiral of anxiety, stress, and self-doubt. But here's the powerful truth: true, primary low milk supply due to insufficient glandular tissue is exceptionally rare. We're talking about a very small percentage of the population. For the vast majority of mothers who worry about their supply, the issue isn't a fundamental flaw in their body. It's almost always a correctable, external problem. So what's really going on? The 3 most common culprits are what I call the supply saboteurs. First, a poor latch. If your baby isn't latched deeply and effectively, they can't efficiently remove milk from the breast. Your body works on a supply and demand basis. If milk isn't being removed, your body gets the signal to produce less. It's not a failure, it's a communication breakdown. Second is stress. When you're constantly worried about your supply, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol. Cortisol can interfere with oxytocin, the love hormone that's responsible for your let-down reflex. So, the very act of stressing about your supply can make it harder for your milk to flow. It's a vicious cycle. Third, and this is a big one, is infrequent or scheduled milk removal. Those rigid feed every 4-hour schedules are the enemy of a robust milk supply in the early days. Newborns need to feed often, on demand, usually 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. Each time your baby nurses, they're placing an order for the next meal. The more orders they place, the more milk your body makes. Your body responds to demand, not to fear or a ticking clock. This leads us directly to myth number 3. Certain foods will instantly boost your milk supply. You've probably seen them advertised everywhere: lactation cookies, special teas, fenugreek capsules. While some of these, known as galactagogues, can be supportive for some women, they are not magic pills. There is no single food that will suddenly double your milk supply overnight. Thinking they will is like trying to put a high-performance engine into a car with no wheels. It misses the entire point. The foundation of a healthy milk supply is not what you eat, but how often and how effectively you empty your breasts. That is the engine. Consistent, on-demand feeding and ensuring a good latch are non-negotiable. After that, yes, your diet matters. But it's about getting enough calories, period. Making milk is a calorie-intensive process, burning up to 500 extra calories a day. If you're not eating enough to fuel your own body and the milk-making factory, your supply can take a hit. Hormonal balance, which is deeply tied to stress and sleep, is also far more important than any one specific food. So, think of those lactation cookies as a helpful supplement, not the primary solution. Focus on the basics first: feed your baby and feed yourself. Myth number 4 is one based purely on appearance: small breasts mean you'll have a low milk supply. This myth causes so much anxiety before a baby even arrives. Let me be perfectly clear: breast size has absolutely nothing to do with milk production capacity. The size of your breasts is primarily determined by the amount of fatty tissue they contain, not the amount of milk-making glandular tissue. A woman with a cup breasts can have just as much, or even more, glandular tissue as a woman with DD cup breasts. Think of it like this: you can have two warehouses. One looks huge from the outside, but it's mostly empty office space. The other looks small and compact, but it's packed to the ceiling with goods. The storage capacity for milk is about the glandular tissue, the warehouse shelving, not the external size of the building. While a smaller breast might have slightly less storage capacity at any given moment, meaning the baby might want to nurse a little more frequently, it does not mean she makes less milk overall in a 24-hour period. Her body will still produce exactly what her baby demands. Your breast size is not a predictor of your breastfeeding success. Next up, myth number 5. You must cut all gassy foods from your diet, like broccoli, beans, and cabbage. This piece of advice is passed down through generations, but it's based on a misunderstanding of how digestion and milk production work. The gas produced in your digestive system when you eat broccoli does not get transferred into your breast milk. That's biologically impossible. Gas is a byproduct of digestion in your intestines. It doesn't enter your bloodstream. What can be transferred into your breast milk are tiny food proteins. In rare cases, a baby might have a sensitivity or allergy to a specific protein, like cow's milk protein. This might cause symptoms like fussiness, rashes, or mucousy stools. But this is a reaction to a protein, not to the gassiness of a food. The real danger of this myth is that it encourages mothers to cut out entire food groups unnecessarily. This can lead to a restrictive, joyless diet, increase your stress levels, and even result in nutritional deficiencies. And as we've already discussed, what does increased maternal stress do? It can lower your milk supply. So unless you notice a clear and consistent pattern of your baby reacting poorly every single time you eat a specific food, There is no need to preemptively cut out healthy, nutrient-dense foods. Let's talk about myth number 6, a really dangerous one. Pain is a normal part of breastfeeding. I want to draw a very clear line here. In the first few days, you might experience some initial tenderness or discomfort as your body and your baby learn this new skill. That's normal. But sharp, searing, toe-curling pain that lasts throughout a feeding is never normal. Pain is your body's alarm system telling you that something is wrong. Pushing through severe pain is not a sign of strength, it's a sign that a problem is being ignored. The most common cause of breastfeeding pain is a shallow latch. If the baby is only latched onto the nipple instead of a large mouthful of the areola, it can cause cracking, bleeding, and intense pain. It also means the baby isn't effectively transferring milk, which, again, signals your body to produce less. Pain can also indicate other issues like a tongue tie in the baby, a breast infection like mastitis, or thrush. Ignoring pain not only makes breastfeeding a miserable experience, it can directly lead to a damaged supply and early, unintentional weaning. If you are in pain, please do not just tough it out. Reach out to a certified lactation consultant. They can help you identify the root cause and find a solution. Breastfeeding should be a comfortable and enjoyable experience for both you and your baby. Finally, we arrive at the most emotionally charged myth of all. If you have to use formula, you have failed at breastfeeding. This is absolutely 100% false. This all-or-nothing mentality is toxic and helps no one. Your worth as a mother is not measured in ounces of breast milk. Your goal is to have a healthy, thriving baby and to be a healthy, sane mother. Breastfeeding is not a competition. There are a multitude of valid reasons why a mother might choose or need to supplement with formula. It could be for medical reasons, for mental health, for logistical challenges with work, or simply because it's the right choice for her family. Supplementing does not cancel out all the benefits of the breast milk your baby does receive. Every single drop of breast milk you provide is a gift. A journey that includes both breast milk and formula is not a failure, it is a combination feeding journey. A fed baby and a mentally healthy mom are what matter most. Always, success is defined by love, nourishment, and well-being, not by a single method of feeding. So let's recap these 7 myths that are secretly hurting you: drinking tons of water, believing your body is failing, relying on magic foods, worrying about small breasts, cutting out foods unnecessarily, enduring pain, and viewing formula as failure. Knowing the truth behind these myths is your first step toward a more confident and successful breastfeeding experience. It's about swapping fear for facts and anxiety for action. Breastfeeding isn't about perfection, it's about support, knowledge, and trusting the incredible connection between you and your baby. If this video has opened your eyes and you want more evidence-based guidance that empowers you and protects your breastfeeding journey, please hit that subscribe button right now. We post new videos every day designed to cut through the noise and give you the real information you need. Don't forget to share this video to every nursing and expectant mom. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.